Have you ever felt the sting of rejection, the ache that lingers when someone walks away, leaving you questioning your worth? Don't worry. Rejection is a universal experience, and we all have been through it. It doesn't have to define who you are. Instead, it can be a powerful opportunity, a hidden stepping stone to growth and profound self-discovery. Think about it. Rejection feels so heavy because it's personal. Whether it's love, work, or friendships, it touches the core of who we are. But here's the truth. Rejection is rarely about you. It's often about timing, circumstances, or someone else's perspective. That realization shifts everything. Today we'll explore the surprising truth. Rejection can become a transformative force in your life. The key lies in understanding it not as a verdict on your value, but as a signal to realign your focus and energy. Through this lens, rejection becomes a tool, not an obstacle, to discover your potential and reshape your future. To begin, consider the emotional weight rejection carries. Whether it's in love, work, or friendships, the feeling is deeply personal. But here's the insight that changes everything. Rejection is rarely about you. It often reflects circumstances, perspectives, or needs beyond your control. This realization allows you to step back and reclaim your power. The goal here is simple yet profound: to shift your perception. Rejection isn't failure, it's feedback. By embracing this perspective, you'll be ready to explore strategies that transform rejection into an unmatched opportunity for growth and fulfillment. Why does rejection hurt so much? That sinking feeling in your stomach, the restless thoughts that keep you up at night, it all comes from the same place. Rejection doesn't just bruise your ego, it strikes at the very heart of what it means to connect, to belong, and to be seen. But there's another side to it, one that can change how you view those moments forever. At its core, rejection feels painful because our brains are wired to avoid it. Psychologists have found that rejection activates the same regions of the brain as physical pain. No wonder it feels like such a blow. It's not just in your head, it's in your body too. The need for acceptance runs deep in our nature. It's tied to survival, community, and our sense of purpose. When that connection is severed, even momentarily, it can feel devastating. But here's where things get interesting. Pain, as uncomfortable as it is, can also be a catalyst. Every time you experience rejection, you're given a chance to grow. Think back to a time when rejection forced you to reevaluate something, a relationship, a career choice, even how you see yourself. Those moments, as hard as they were, shaped you into who you are today. They pushed you to make changes you might never have considered otherwise. Rejection teaches resilience. It's a mirror that reflects not just what you lost, but what you stand to gain. When you embrace the pain instead of running from it, you start to see its lessons. Maybe it's showing you an area of your life that needs attention. Perhaps it's redirecting you to a path that aligns better with your values. Or it might be teaching you patience and the strength to keep going. Today, let's shift the way we think about rejection. Instead of fearing it, let's see it as a tool for self-awareness and growth. The hurt doesn't last forever, but the insights it brings can stay with you for a lifetime. Every no you face has the potential to lead you closer to the yes you truly need. Rejection hurts because it matters. But it's also a reminder that you're putting yourself out there, that you're trying, and that you care. And that's a beautiful thing. Reverse psychology works because it taps into something fundamental about human behavior. We value freedom and choice. When someone feels pushed, their instinct is to resist. But when the pressure is removed, they're free to lean in on their own terms. This approach flips the script on rejection, turning the chase into a pull, and that's where its power lies. The idea behind reverse psychology is simple. The harder you push, the more likely you are to create resistance. Think about a time when someone tried to convince you to do something. Didn't it make you want to push back? Now imagine the opposite. When someone steps back, it often sparks curiosity and intrigue. This is why stepping back and focusing on yourself can change the way others respond to you. By shifting the focus away from trying to win someone over, you create a new dynamic. Imagine saying, "It's okay if this isn't the right time," instead of insisting on their attention. That simple shift changes the energy of the interaction, making them more likely to come forward. It's not about manipulation. It's about creating balance and space for genuine connection. Reverse psychology is especially effective in relationships. When you're constantly available or trying too hard, it can lower your perceived value. But when you focus on your own goals and let the other person come to you, it sends a message of self-worth that's hard to ignore. The same principle applies at work. Showing you're confident enough to walk away from a negotiation often leads to better outcomes. People respect those who know their value and don't chase approval. This approach works because it removes the tension and allows natural curiosity to take over. When you step back, it invites the other person to move forward. Think of the most magnetic people you know. They aren't the loudest or the most demanding. They create space for others to lean in, and that quiet confidence makes them irresistible. The true power of reverse psychology lies in its subtlety. It's not about playing games or pretending you don't care. It's about truly valuing yourself and letting others see that. By mastering this approach, you'll find that the energy shifts in your favor, and you're no longer chasing what you deserve. Instead, it starts coming to you. Rejection can be one of life's toughest lessons. It stings, shakes your confidence, and leaves you questioning yourself. But what if rejection isn't a stop sign? What if it's a redirection, a way to help you focus on the opportunities you may not have noticed before? The strategies we'll explore here are designed to help you take the pain of rejection and turn it into your most valuable tool for growth. The first step is learning to reframe rejection. When you're told no, it's easy to internalize that as a personal failure. But often, rejection has little to do with your worth. Consider a scenario where you didn't get the job you wanted. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, shift your perspective. What did you gain from the process? Maybe it was practice for interviews, a better understanding of your strengths, or clarity about what you truly want. Rejection isn't a failure. It's feedback. And feedback is one of the most powerful tools for improvement. After reframing the situation, turn your focus inward. Rejection creates a gap, and what you fill that gap with matters. One of the best ways to start is by investing in yourself. Whether it's learning a new skill, diving into a hobby, or simply dedicating time to rest and recharge, self-growth is the antidote to self-doubt. For example, if a relationship ended, use that time to reconnect with yourself. Explore what makes you happy, independent of others. Growth doesn't just heal, it transforms. It makes you stronger, more resilient, and more attractive to the opportunities ahead. Boundaries are another essential strategy. Rejection often highlights imbalances, especially in relationships. If you've been overextending yourself, giving more than you receive, rejection might be the wake-up call you need. Start by setting limits. If someone isn't reciprocating your energy, don't chase them. Instead, focus on people and activities that align with your values and uplift you. Small steps, like saying no to draining commitments or limiting interactions with negative influences, can restore your balance and help you regain control. Building emotional resilience is also critical. Rejection hurts because it challenges our sense of self. But instead of avoiding the pain, Sit with it. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Maybe it's patience, humility, or a reminder to stay grounded. Resilience isn't about ignoring your feelings. It's about processing them in a way that helps you grow. Over time, you'll find that the pain fades, but the lessons stay with you. Improving communication is another powerful way to turn rejection into a win. Sometimes rejection isn't about who you are, but how you present yourself. Reflect on how you express your thoughts and feelings. Could your tone, timing, or approach be adjusted? For example, instead of reacting with frustration when rejected, try responding with grace, saying, "Thank you for your honesty. I wish you the best." Not only leaves a positive impression, but also strengthens your sense of dignity. Lean into your support system. Rejection can feel isolating, but you're not alone. Friends, family, and mentors are invaluable during these times. Share your feelings with people who care about you. Their perspective can remind you of your strengths and help you see the bigger picture. Even a short conversation with someone who believes in you can reignite your confidence and help you refocus on your goals. Patience is another essential strategy. Rejection often feels final, but it rarely is. More often, it's about timing. Think of the opportunities you've missed in the past. How many of them made way for something better later? Whether it's a job, a relationship, or a dream that didn't pan out, use the time to prepare for the next chapter. You never know when the door you truly need will open. Creativity is a hidden gift of rejection. When one door closes, it forces you to think differently about what's next. Some of the best innovations come from moments when people had to pivot. Use rejection as an opportunity to explore new ideas. Maybe you start a side project, take up painting, or dive into a passion you've put off for too long. Creative outlets not only provide fulfillment, but also remind you that the world is full of possibilities. One practical tool to process rejection is journaling. Writing down your thoughts, feelings, and lessons can bring clarity and help you make sense of the experience. Use your journal to reflect on what you learned, how you've grown, and what steps you'll take next. Revisiting these entries over time can be a powerful reminder of how far you've come and how much you're capable of overcoming. Small victories are worth celebrating. After rejection, every step forward matters, no matter how small. Did you apply for a new job? Reach out to someone new? Get through a particularly tough day? Recognize those moments. Progress doesn't have to be monumental to be meaningful. Each small win builds momentum and strengthens your resilience. Practicing gratitude can also help shift your mindset. It's easy to focus on what you've lost, but rejection often clears the way for things we didn't realize we needed. Take time to appreciate what you have, your health, your skills, your connections. Gratitude doesn't erase rejection, but it balances it, giving you the strength to move forward with a clearer heart. Lastly, don't forget to show yourself compassion. Rejection can make you your own harshest critic, but beating yourself up doesn't help. Treat yourself the way you'd treat a friend in the same situation, with kindness, understanding, and encouragement. Remind yourself that rejection doesn't define your worth, and every step you take toward growth is proof of your strength. Rejection may sting, but it also clears space for better opportunities, deeper connections, and personal growth. By reframing rejection, setting boundaries, and focusing on self-improvement, you take control of the narrative. These strategies aren't quick fixes. They're tools to help you rebuild, reimagine, and ultimately thrive. After learning strategies to transform rejection into a tool for growth, the next step is knowing how to apply these ideas in your day-to-day life. This is where reverse psychology shines. It's not just a concept, it's a practical tool you can use in relationships, careers, and even social interactions. Let's explore real-life hacks that show exactly how reverse psychology works and why it's so effective. Reverse psychology works because it subtly shifts the balance of control. Instead of pushing your desires onto someone, you create a situation where they naturally make the choice you want. For example, in a conversation, instead of insisting someone agree with you, try saying, "You might not agree, but here's my perspective." This disarms resistance and opens the door for dialogue. It's not about tricking people, it's about creating space for them to see your point without feeling pressured. In relationships, reverse psychology can help break unhealthy patterns. Imagine you're in a dynamic where you feel undervalued. Instead of seeking constant reassurance, step back. For instance, if your partner isn't making an effort to spend time together, say, "I think it's great for us to have some space to focus on ourselves." This shows confidence and independence, often prompting them to re-engage on their own. At work, reverse psychology can be a game changer, especially in negotiations. Instead of aggressively pushing for a raise, frame your values subtly. You might say, "I understand if this isn't the right time for a pay adjustment, but I'm curious to know how you see my contributions." This invites a conversation rather than a confrontation, making it easier for the other person to meet you halfway. Another way reverse psychology manifests is through controlled detachment. People are naturally drawn to what feels slightly out of reach. For instance, in friendships, instead of always being the one to initiate plans, let others reach out. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means showing that you're not dependent on their approval for your happiness. When people sense that you're content on your own, they often value your presence even more. Reverse psychology can also be applied to parenting in a constructive way. Imagine a child who refuses to do their homework. Instead of demanding compliance, you might say, "You probably don't need my help with this. You seem capable of handling it yourself." This not only empowers the child, but also reduces resistance, making them more likely to engage with the task willingly. In social settings, reverse psychology can help you stand out. For example, when someone seems hesitant to engage in a group activity, try saying, "It's totally fine if you don't want to join. It's completely up to you." This removes pressure and often sparks curiosity or a desire to participate. People appreciate feeling in control, and reverse psychology plays into that need. What makes these hacks so effective is their subtlety. Reverse psychology doesn't demand or control, it invites and inspires. Imagine being at a networking event. Instead of aggressively pitching yourself, try expressing genuine curiosity about others. Saying something like, "I'd love to hear more about your work. What inspired you to start?" shifts the focus away from you, but paradoxically, it makes you more memorable. People naturally feel more connected when they sense authentic interest. The key to mastering reverse psychology is self-awareness. Before applying it, ask yourself, what do I want to achieve? And how can I create a situation where others feel free to engage? This mindset prevents the approach from feeling manipulative. For instance, if you're trying to motivate a team at work, avoid giving direct orders. Instead, phrase your request as a question. What do you think would make this project even stronger? This invites collaboration and makes the team feel invested in the outcome. Reverse psychology can even be applied to personal growth. If you find yourself stuck in a procrastination cycle, challenge your own resistance. Tell yourself, "I don't need to work on this right now. I'll just look at it for 5 minutes." Often, this small action snowballs into meaningful progress. The principle here is the same. By removing the weight of expectation, you free yourself to act. It's also effective in romantic situations. Instead of constantly seeking attention, focus on your own growth and independence. For example, if you're waiting for someone to text you back, resist the urge to double text. Instead, invest your time in something fulfilling, hit the gym, call a friend, or work on a personal project. This shift in energy often makes the other person notice your absence and reach out first. Reverse psychology isn't limited to interactions with others. It can reshape how you approach challenges. For example, if you're afraid of failure, tell yourself, "It's okay if this doesn't work out. I'll learn something valuable either way." This mindset reduces pressure and allows you to perform better. The goal isn't to avoid failure, but to embrace the process without fear holding you back. When used well, reverse psychology can also strengthen trust. In friendships, instead of pushing someone to open up, try saying, "I understand if you don't want to talk about it right now." This creates a safe space for them to share on their own terms. Trust builds when people feel they're not being forced into anything. Even in situations where you feel powerless, reverse psychology can help you regain control. Let's say you're facing rejection in a job application. Instead of repeatedly following up, send a thoughtful message saying, "Thank you for considering my application. I'd love to stay connected for future opportunities." This leaves a positive impression and keeps the door open for later. Another way to apply reverse psychology is through curiosity. People are naturally drawn to mystery. For instance, if you're sharing a personal story, don't lay out all the details immediately. Say something like, "It's a long story, but let me know if you're curious." This piques interest and invites the other person to engage more deeply. It's not about withholding, it's about pacing. In parenting, reverse psychology can help build independence. If your teenager resists cleaning their room, try saying, "It's up to you. I trust you'll figure out the best time to do it." This approach not only empowers them but also teaches responsibility. The absence of pressure often leads to better results. Lastly, remember that reverse psychology is about balance. It's not about manipulation, but about fostering genuine connections and outcomes. Whether you're building relationships, pursuing goals, or navigating setbacks, these hacks work because they align with human nature. When people feel respected and free, they're more likely to respond positively. By applying these real-life reverse psychology hacks, you'll begin to notice shifts in the way people respond to you and the opportunities that arise. It's a subtle yet powerful approach that can make all the difference in your personal and professional life. Using reverse psychology can be powerful, but it's important to do it the right way. After learning about practical hacks, let's dive into the do's and don'ts that make it work effectively. Reverse psychology only succeeds when it's subtle and respectful, not pushy or manipulative. One important do is to keep it subtle. If you're too obvious, the other person might feel like you're trying to manipulate them, which could backfire. For example, instead of saying, "I bet you can't handle this," try something softer like, "You've handled tougher things before. This should be no problem for you." This approach encourages without feeling forced, allowing the person to take ownership of their actions. Don't use reverse psychology too often. If every interaction feels like a strategy, people might lose trust in you. Imagine constantly saying things like, "It's fine if you don't want to help," to try and get others to act. Over time, it becomes predictable and annoying. Use reverse psychology only when it's really needed, and balance it with genuine communication. Another key do is to consider how the other person feels. If someone is already stressed or upset, trying to use reverse psychology can make things worse. Instead of saying, "It's okay if you can't do it," say, "I know this is a lot. What can I do to help?" Showing understanding creates a safe space and builds trust. Avoid using reverse psychology in serious or emotional situations. If a friend is sharing something deeply personal, it's not the time to be clever or indirect. People need honesty and support in those moments, not a strategy. Always prioritize being genuine over trying to steer the conversation. The best way to use reverse psychology is to make it feel natural. For example, in a work setting, instead of demanding action, say, "I know you've got a lot on your plate, but your input on this project would make a big difference." This gives the other person space to decide while showing you value them. The goal of reverse psychology should always be mutual respect. It's not about tricking someone. It's about creating a dynamic where both sides feel good about the outcome. By following these do's and avoiding the don'ts, you can use reverse psychology effectively and maintain strong, honest relationships in the process. After learning how to use reverse psychology effectively, it's time to shift focus inward. Empowerment comes not just from mastering techniques, but from building a strong foundation within yourself. Rejection, when handled well, becomes an opportunity to grow, redefine your priorities, and take control of your narrative. Empowerment begins with self-reflection. Take a moment to think about how you've responded to rejection in the past. Were there patterns that held you back? Maybe it was dwelling on the no or seeking validation from others. Recognizing these habits isn't about blaming yourself. It's about understanding where you've been so you can decide where you're going. Self-awareness is the first step to taking back your power. Focusing on what's within your control is essential. Rejection often feels overwhelming because it highlights things you can't change, other people's decisions, timing, or circumstances. But what you can control is your response. For example, instead of replaying a rejection in your mind, shift that energy towards setting a new goal. Whether it's reaching out to someone else, refining your skills, or exploring new opportunities, taking action is empowering. Building confidence is another key step. Confidence doesn't mean never feeling hurt. It means trusting that you can handle whatever comes your way. One way to strengthen this is by celebrating small victories. Each time you face rejection and choose to move forward, you prove to yourself that you're resilient. These moments add up, reminding you of your ability to overcome challenges. Creating a support system is also crucial. Empowerment doesn't happen in isolation. Surround yourself with people who encourage and inspire you. They can offer perspective, cheer you on, and remind you of your strengths when self-doubt creeps in. Whether it's friends, family, or mentors, the right connections make a difference. Another powerful way to reclaim your narrative is by setting boundaries. Rejection can leave you feeling like you need to prove yourself, but that's not true. Learning to say no to things that don't serve you and yes to opportunities that align with your goals is a form of self-respect. It's not about shutting people out. It's about valuing your time and energy. Empowerment is a process, not a destination. It's about the choices you make every day to prioritize your growth and well-being. By shifting your focus from rejection to what's possible, you open the door to opportunities that truly align with your worth and potential. Rejection is a universal experience, but as we've explored, it doesn't have to define you. Instead, it can become the starting point for transformation, growth, and empowerment. Now, it's time to take everything you've learned and put it into action, building a future shaped by strength and self-worth. The first step is to embrace the lessons rejection offers. Every no carries an opportunity to learn something new about yourself. Whether it's gaining clarity about what truly matters or understanding areas where you can improve, these lessons are gifts that help you grow. The key is to approach rejection with curiosity, asking yourself, what can I take away from this experience? Focusing on what's within your control is equally important. Rejection often feels overwhelming because it highlights what you can't change, other people's decisions or circumstances. But your power lies in how you respond. Instead of dwelling on the rejection itself, channel that energy into self-improvement. Whether it's refining a skill, pursuing a passion, or setting new goals, every step forward reinforces your resilience. Building a strong support system is another essential step. Surround yourself with people who believe in you and lift you up. Reaching out to a mentor, spending time with friends, or even joining a community that shares your values can provide encouragement and perspective during tough moments. The right connections remind you of your worth and keep you moving forward. It's also vital to set boundaries and protect your energy. Rejection can make you feel like you need to overcompensate or prove yourself, but the truth is, your value doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. Learn to say no to situations that drain you and yes to opportunities that align with your goals. Boundaries aren't walls, they're safeguards that let you focus on what truly matters. Finally, remember to celebrate progress, no matter how small. Every time you rise after rejection, you're proving your strength. Acknowledge those moments. Maybe you reached out to someone new, applied for a challenging opportunity, or simply chose to keep going. Each step is a victory worth recognizing. Empowerment isn't a destination, it's a choice you make every day. By embracing rejection as a tool for growth, focusing on your inner strength, and building connections that matter, you're creating a life that reflects your true worth. The next chapter is yours to write, and it starts with the decisions you make today.